The last stand at Proxima. The Kalari Empire's warships emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of metallic wasps, their crystalline hulls refracting the light of Proxima Centauri. High Admiral Kvex stood on the bridge of the flagship, Eternal Dawn, his iridescent scales gleaming under the dim light of tactical displays. His compound eyes tracked the movement of the small research station orbiting the red dwarf star, humanity's furthest outpost from their homeworld. Primitives, Kvex chittered, mandibles clicking in what passed for amusement among his kind. 3 centuries we've watched them fumble with their crude rockets and chemical propulsion. They don't even possess basic gravitic technology. His executive officer, Subcommander Zinare, approached with a data crystal. My lord, our deep scans show minimal defenses. Only 32 humans aboard. No weapon systems detected. Kvex's antenna twitched in satisfaction. The Kalari had spent millennia perfecting their hive-mind civilization, spreading across thousands of worlds. They had crushed dozens of emerging species, incorporating their knowledge into the collective consciousness. Humans, with their chaotic individualism and primitive technology, were barely worth noting. But orders were orders. The Council of Queens had decreed that all potential threats must be eliminated before they could evolve into actual challenges. Earth's rapidly advancing computer technology had drawn their attention. Better to crush them now than wait. Send the ultimatum, Kvex commanded. Standard protocol, surrender or be destroyed. The message was transmitted in perfect English, another sign of Kalari superiority. They had decoded human languages decades ago, while Earth still struggled to detect basic signals from space. The response came almost immediately. A single human appeared on the main view screen. She was older, with silver hair and dark skin, wearing a simple blue uniform with a patch reading, Proxima Research Station. This is Director Sarah Chen of the Proxima Research Station. We are a civilian facility conducting astronomical research. Under Article 7 of the Galactic Concordat, attacking a peaceful scientific installation is a war crime. Kvex's mandibles clattered in genuine amusement now. The Concordat? You aren't even members of Galactic Society. You have no standing to invoke its protections. Surrender now, and your deaths will be painless. The human's expression didn't change. I see. Then you should know something about humans, Admiral. We're very good at playing dead. The transmission cut off. Kvex was about to order the attack when Zinare suddenly called out, energy spike. Massive energy spike from the station. The research station's outer shell began to peel away like a chrysalis, revealing something else entirely beneath. Where there had been basic solar panels and crude habitation modules, now stood gleaming weapon ports and phase-shifted armor. The transformation took less than 30 seconds. Impossible, Kvex whispered. Their technology level, they couldn't have. My lord. Zinare's voice had risen to a screech. We're detecting quantum signatures. They have Q-Tech. Before Kvex could process this revelation, the station fired. Not with the crude missiles or laser weapons they had expected, but with weapons that shouldn't have existed outside of theoretical research. Quantum-entangled plasma beams lanced out, passing through the Kalari's best shields as if they weren't there. 3 Kalari cruisers died in the first volley. Return fire. All ships, open fire. Kvex roared, but the station was already changing again, its form shifting like liquid metal, absorbing or deflecting everything they threw at it. Director Chen's voice came through again, calm as ever. We tried to warn you. Humanity hasn't been primitive for a very long time. We just thought it wise to let the galaxy think so. After all. There was a pause, and Kvex could have sworn he heard amusement in her voice. It's easier to study the neighborhood when your neighbors don't know they're being watched. The station's final form stabilized, a massive battle platform bristling with weapons that shouldn't have existed. Kvex realized, too late, that what they had thought was humanity's furthest research outpost was actually their first line of defense. "Sound the retreat," he ordered, but the quantum weapons had already locked onto their hyperspace generators. They weren't going anywhere. "One last thing, Admiral," Chen's voice came through one final time. "That message you're trying to send to warn the Empire? It's not going to get through. But ours will. Humanity is done hiding. And you just started a war you really shouldn't have." The battle that followed lasted less than 15 minutes. When it was over, the Eternal Dawn was the only Kalari ship left intact, deliberately spared to witness what happened next. Kvex watched in horror as thousands of quantum signatures appeared throughout the system. The humans hadn't just been playing dead, they had been playing a game so long that the Kalari hadn't even known they were pieces on the board. As the human fleet surrounded his crippled flagship, Kvex finally understood. They hadn't found humanity unprepared for galactic society. Humanity had found them wanting. The real war was about to begin. And the galaxy would never be the same. Awakening the giant. The Kalari Empress Tlara felt something she hadn't experienced in 3 centuries of rule: fear. The quantum encrypted transmission playing before the Council of Queens showed the complete annihilation of their Proxima battle group. 30 ships, gone in minutes. "Impossible," Queen Vrax hissed, her crystalline crown vibrating with agitation. "Our intelligence networks have monitored Earth for decades. They were launching primitive rockets, arguing over fossil fuels, fighting among themselves. They fooled us," Clara said softly, her compound eyes fixed on the image of human quantum ships materializing around their defeated forces. "The question is, for how long?" The answer came sooner than expected. Every quantum screen in the council chamber suddenly activated, displaying a silver-haired human male in a simple black uniform. He stood in what appeared to be a command center, but unlike anything in Kalari design. The walls seemed to shift and flow, as if the very room was alive. "I am Admiral James Chen of the Terran Defense Force. You attacked a human research station. You threatened civilian scientists. You believed us weak." His voice carried no anger, only a calm certainty that somehow made it worse. "We have watched your empire expand for centuries, consuming species who could have become something greater. We watched, we learned, and we prepared." Clara's mandibles clicked in realization. "Chen, the station director." "My mother," the admiral confirmed, as if hearing her. "Who better to maintain our facade than a family that has guided human defense policy for 3 generations? While you watched our rocket launches, our real ships were testing quantum drives in pocket dimensions. While you monitored our internet, our quantum AI networks were mapping your empire's weaknesses. While you dismissed us as primitives, we were building something you never could." The chamber's quantum screens filled with new images, massive shipyards hidden in dimensional pockets, fleets of vessels that made the Kalari ships look primitive in comparison, and technology that seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. "Your civilization is built on unity through dominance," Chen continued. "The hive mind you force on conquered species, the conformity you demand, you never understood that true strength comes from diversity. From chaos. From the beautiful, messy, brilliant individuality that you tried to stamp out." One of the queens suddenly lurched forward. "Our long-range sensors, they're detecting quantum signatures throughout the Empire. Hundreds, thousands. For every research station you saw," Chen said, "we built 10 you didn't. For every primitive rocket that made you laugh, we launched 100 quantum ships. Humanity didn't just prepare for war, Your Majesty. We prepared for victory." Clara rose from her throne, her voice carrying the weight of centuries. "If you're so powerful, why reveal yourselves now? Why not strike first?" Chen's expression softened slightly. "Because unlike you, we believe in choices. Stand down your forces. End your expansion. Free the species you've enslaved to your hive mind. Do this, and we'll help your empire transition to something better." Something worthy of joining galactic society. And if we refuse? Then you'll learn why every human child knows the story of sleeping giants, and why it's unwise to wake them. The Admiral's image began to fade. You have 6 hours to begin evacuating your frontier worlds. Either way, the Kalari Empire as you know it ends today. The transmission cut off, leaving the council chamber in silence. Clara sank back into her throne, her mind racing through centuries of history. The Kalari had conquered their way across the stars, believing their hive-mind consciousness made them superior. But they had never encountered a species that had turned individuality itself into a weapon. Orders, Empress? Vrax asked, her voice uncertain for the first time in living memory. Before Clara could respond, new alerts flooded the chamber. Quantum signatures were appearing inside their supposedly secure systems. Human ships were emerging from dimensional pockets within their territory. And strangest of all, communications were coming in from worlds they had conquered centuries ago, worlds whose populations were somehow breaking free of the hive mind. Clara realized that the humans hadn't just prepared for war. They had spent generations orchestrating the perfect endgame. The choice they offered wasn't really a choice at all, it was a courtesy, extended by a species that had outplayed them so completely that victory was already assured. The giant wasn't just awake. It had been awake all along, patiently setting the stage for this very moment. And as Clara watched her empire's carefully constructed order begin to unravel, she understood that the real question wasn't whether they would survive, it was whether they deserved to. The game of pretend was over. The age of humanity had begun. The Ghost Fleet. Fleet Commander Ixis watched in horror as another Kalari battle group vanished into dimensional space, not through their own power, but pulled in by invisible forces. The humans called it quantum fishing, and it was unlike anything the Kalari had encountered in millennia of warfare. Status report, she demanded, her crystalline exoskeleton vibrating with tension. The bridge of the Twilight Spear hummed with nervous energy as her crew worked to track the impossible human vessels. 15 more ships lost in Sector 7, her tactical officer reported. They're not destroyed. They're just gone. The humans are pulling entire fleets into pocket dimensions and we can't follow. The tactical display told a story that defied Kalari military doctrine. The humans weren't fighting like any species should. Their ships appeared from nowhere, ignored the laws of physics, and disappeared with captured Kalari vessels before any response could be mounted. Show me the pattern analysis, Ixis ordered. The hive-mind consciousness that linked all Kalari should have given them an advantage in predicting enemy movements. Instead, it had become their greatest weakness. The holographic display showed the human attack pattern, or rather, the complete lack of one. Each ship operated independently, using different tactics, different technologies, even different physical laws. Some phased through solid matter. Others created temporary singularities. A few seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Commander. A sensor officer's voice cracked with panic. New contact, it's the Ghost Fleet. Ixis felt her heart stop. The Ghost Fleet, humanity's most enigmatic weapon. Ships that weren't really ships at all, but quantum constructs piloted by human consciousness uploaded into quantum matrices. They couldn't be destroyed because they barely existed in normal space. The void ahead rippled as the human vessels phased into view. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, sleek forms of energy and matter that seemed to flicker between states of existence. Leading them was the infamous Digital Lazarus, commanded by Captain Sarah Chen, the same woman who had survived the Battle of Proxima Station by transferring her consciousness into the quantum network moments before her physical death. "This is Captain Chen of the Ghost Fleet," a familiar voice echoed through the command deck. "Your empire thought death was the end. We made it a transformation." Ixis watched as the Ghost Fleet moved in impossible ways, their quantum matrices allowing them to ignore conventional physics. They didn't fire weapons, they didn't need to. Instead, they began rewriting the local laws of reality itself. How? Ixis demanded, broadcasting on all frequencies. How did you hide this level of technology? Hide? Chen's laugh was both human and something more. We didn't hide our technology, Commander. We hid our imagination. Your empire sees technology as a means of control. We saw it as a canvas for dreams. The ghost fleet surrounded the Kalari formation, their quantum fields beginning to resonate with the hive mind frequency. Ixis felt it immediately, a disruption in the collective consciousness that had guided her species for generations. Your hive mind is impressive, Chen continued, her voice now coming from everywhere and nowhere. But it's a cage. We learned to digitize consciousness not to control it, but to free it. To let it evolve beyond physical limitations. Ixis watched as her crew began to experience individual thoughts for the first time in their lives. The hive mind was being altered, not destroyed, but transformed by human quantum technology into something new. We're not here to destroy you, Chen explained as reality continued to shift around them. We're here to show you what you could become. Your empire tried to force unity through conformity. We achieved it through celebrating our differences. The Ghost Fleet's quantum fields fully enveloped the Kalari ships now. Ixis felt her consciousness expanding, experiencing something the hive mind had never allowed, true individuality within unity. The choice is yours, Chen's voice echoed as the transformation continued. Stay bound by the limits of your old understanding, or join us in exploring what consciousness can really become. As the Ghost Fleet worked its impossible changes, Ixis realized that humanity hadn't just surpassed the Kalari technologically, they had evolutionarily transcended them. The humans had turned their greatest weakness, their chaotic individuality, into their greatest strength. The war wasn't being fought with weapons, but with ideas. And as Ixis felt her mind truly awaken for the first time, she understood that her empire had already lost. Not to superior firepower, but to a superior dream of what life could be. The Ghost Fleet had come not to conquer, but to liberate. And in doing so, they revealed that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their technology, it was their ability to imagine beyond the boundaries of what others thought possible. Breaking the hive. High researcher Nvara stood in the Kalari Empire's most secure facility, the Hive Nexus, watching as centuries of control unraveled through quantum screens. She had spent her life studying the hive mind, believing it to be the pinnacle of evolution. Now, she witnessed its systematic deconstruction by human psychology. Another sector has gone dark, her assistant reported. The humans, they're not destroying the hive mind nodes. They're transforming them. Nvara flexed her crystalline fingers over the neural interface. The facility's walls pulsed with the dying rhythm of the Empire's collective consciousness. Show me the pattern. The data crystallized before her. Humans weren't using weapons to break the hive mind, they were using ideas. Stories. Dreams. Every compromised node showed the same signature, quantum-encoded memories of human history, art, music, and most devastatingly, their failures. They're broadcasting their mistakes, Nvara whispered in revelation. Their wars, their disasters, their greatest errors, but also how they learned from them. A new presence entered the quantum network, distinctive in its chaotic brilliance. Dr. Elena Santos, the human architect of what they called the Liberation Protocol. Your hive mind is beautiful, Elena's consciousness resonated through the network. But it's like a perfect crystal, magnificent, but unable to grow. We're showing your people what they could become if they embrace imperfection. Nvara felt her own consciousness expanding as the humans' quantum algorithms began their work. You're not just breaking the hive mind, you're evolving it. Evolution requires variation, Elena explained, her presence spreading like fractal patterns through the network. Your empire tried to eliminate differences. We're showing your people that strength comes from diversity. Through the quantum screens, Nvara watched as centuries of rigid control transformed into something new. Kalari who had never known individual thought began to dream. Those who had been nodes in a vast network became unique voices in a grand conversation. But the chaos. Nvara protested, even as she felt her own thoughts fragmenting into beautiful complexity. The disorder is necessary for growth, Elena completed. Watch. The quantum screens filled with images from human history, their art, their music, their stories. Each piece born from individual imagination but contributing to a greater whole. They showed their failures not as weakness, but as steps toward understanding. Your hive mind sought perfection through uniformity, Elena continued. We achieved it through harmony of differences. Every human mind is unique, yet together we created something greater than ourselves. The liberation protocol spread through the network like a digital sunrise, not destroying the connections between Kalari minds but transforming them. Where there had been forced synchronization, now there was voluntary collaboration. Where there had been enforced order, now there was creative chaos. The queens, Nvara suddenly realized. They're losing control. They never had control, Elena corrected gently. They had compliance. There's a difference. Through the quantum network, Nvara felt the change rippling across the empire. Kalari were awakening to individual consciousness while maintaining their connections to each other, not through control, but through choice. This was your plan all along, Nvara understood finally. Not to destroy us, but to free us. Your primitive technology, your seemingly chaotic society, it was all a mask. We needed you to underestimate us, Elena confirmed. While you watched our surface civilization, we built something deeper. We learned to digitize consciousness not to control it, but to let it evolve. Your empire saw the hive mind as the end of evolution. We saw it as a beginning. The hive nexus itself was changing now, its crystalline walls reflecting the new consciousness of its inhabitants. Where once it had been a center of control, it was becoming a hub of collaboration. What happens now? Nvara asked, feeling her own consciousness expanding into new dimensions of thought. Now. Elena's presence sparkled with possibility. Now you learn what it means to be truly alive. To think, to dream, to fail, and to grow. The hive mind won't end, it'll evolve into something greater. A network of free minds choosing to work together. As the Liberation Protocol completed its work, Nvara understood the true power of humanity. They hadn't conquered the Kalari Empire, they had transformed it. Not through force, but through the most powerful weapon in the universe, the freedom to think differently. The hive wasn't breaking. It was awakening. A new dawn. 5 years after the Liberation Protocol, the space once known as the Kalari Empire had become something unprecedented in galactic history. Empress Tlara, now serving as the elected facilitator of the new collective, stood in the transformed council chamber alongside human representatives. The chamber itself told the story of change. Where once crystalline walls had pulsed with enforced unity, now they shimmered with a rainbow of individual consciousnesses choosing to work together. Quantum interfaces allowed both organic and digital beings to participate in governance. The final integration reports are in, announced Dr. Elena Santos, her quantum presence interacting seamlessly with the chamber's systems. The last of the outer colonies have successfully transitioned to the new consciousness framework. Clara's mandibles clicked in what was now recognizable as a smile. And the success rate? 99.7% voluntary participation, Elena confirmed. The remaining 0.3% chose to maintain their original consciousness structure, which, as agreed, we've fully accommodated. Admiral James Chen, now significantly grayer but still carrying himself with the same quiet confidence, added, "That's the true measure of our success. Not that they changed, but that they had the freedom to choose not to." The chamber's quantum screens displayed images from across former Kalari space. Worlds where organic and digital consciousness coexisted, where former hive mind nodes had become centers of art and innovation, where species once subjugated now contributed their unique perspectives to a greater whole. We never imagined this, Clara admitted. When we first encountered humanity, we thought we were seeing your endpoint, primitive rockets, fractured nations, technological infancy. Instead, we were seeing your greatest strength. The courage to be imperfect, Chen nodded. To try, fail, learn, and grow. Your empire sought to eliminate variables. We learned to thrive on them. The quantum screens shifted to show the latest breakthrough, a hybrid consciousness technology that allowed beings to shift between individual and collective states at will. It was the culmination of human quantum science and Kalari hive mind engineering, something neither civilization could have achieved alone. The galaxy is watching, Elena noted, her quantum form rippling with data streams. The other empires, the independent worlds, they all want to know how this experiment will end. Let them watch, Clara said, her voice carrying the wisdom of both ages of her civilization. We'll show them what becomes possible when you stop trying to control evolution and start embracing it. The chamber filled with representatives from across the former empire, organic Kalari, quantum-ascended humans, digitized consciousnesses, and hybrid beings that defied traditional classification. Each unique, each contributing to a greater whole not through compulsion but through choice. There's something we never told you, Chen said quietly to Clara. About why we hid our true capabilities for so long. Clara turned her compound eyes to him, curious. We weren't just watching your empire, he explained. We were watching ourselves. Testing our own wisdom, our own restraint. Making sure that when we finally revealed ourselves, we would do so not as conquerors, but as catalysts for change. And if we had chosen differently? Clara asked. If we had refused transformation? Then we would have contained your empire, Elena's quantum form pulsed. But we believed in the potential within every consciousness to evolve. We just had to show you the door. The quantum screens showed new data, ships venturing into unexplored space, but not as conquerors. They carried the message that advancement didn't require uniformity, that civilization could achieve unity through diversity, that the next step in evolution wasn't the elimination of chaos but its embrace. We have a saying on Earth, Chen smiled. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Your empire tried to create it through control. We chose to create it through possibility. As the council session ended, Clara looked out at the transformed civilization before her. The Kalari hadn't been defeated, they had been reborn. Their rigid crystal had become a prism, refracting the light of countless individual minds into something more beautiful than uniform brilliance. Humanity hadn't just changed the Kalari Empire. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, where the choice to connect meant more than the power to control. Where the future wasn't written in absolutes but in possibilities. The war was over. Evolution had won.